So we thought today, now that we've given an overview of the achievement program, both the education and workplace side of things, we thought it'd be most valuable for you to hear from some experienced health promoters who have worked a lot with early childhood services, with primary schools, secondary schools and workplaces, as well as an early childhood service themselves, to learn more about some of the details about how to work with the achievement program, or just get some tips and strategies that will help you with your health promotion work. So today we've got Catherine Kennedy with us from Ballarat Community Health. We've got Irene Dunparker from Eastern Health, Leanne McFarlane from Ballarat Community Health, and Sharon Taylor from Clifton Springs Preschool.
So I'm Irene from Eastern Health. Eastern Health is across the whole eastern region of Melbourne, but I am based in Healesville in the Yarra Valley, and those are the schools that I'm working with myself and a colleague. We're working with the primary schools and the secondary schools. There's 2 secondary schools and the rest are primary schools. With the achievement program and with respectful relationships. And I've also worked in Knox. It was a Healthy Together community with the Achievement program in the past with primary schools.
Hi, I'm Catherine Kennedy from Ballarat Community Health. Ballarat Community Health have 5 different sites, and we offer a whole range of services from allied health, GP clinics, health promotion. My role primarily is the workplace coordinator for a workplace health and wellbeing program that we offer on a fee-for-service basis, and also implementing the achievement program, so it's quite complementary. I've been doing this for about 4 years, so I'm happy to talk with you about workplaces. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Leanne from Ballarat Community Health. I'm Health Promotion Officer there. We've also got 5 sites on the Ballarat Peninsula, so across the bay, and our office is based in Port Arlington. So I thought it was going to be a really nice trip over on the ferry this morning to the Docklands, and it wasn't so nice at all. It was very rough. So yes, I'm just still recovering from that. I thought I was going to be nice and relaxed when I got in here, but not so. I've been working and supporting schools and early childhood centres on the Ballarat for 2 years now. And we've got about 30 health education settings all up on the Ballarat, but 25 of those have signed up to the achievement program, and about half of those are currently active, and I'm supporting them at the moment to work through the achievement program. So that's probably my experience.
Hi, I'm Sharon Taylor. I'm from Clifton Springs Preschool down on the Ballarat Peninsula. We're a committee-run kindergarten. We have 54-year-old children and 21 3-year-olds in our service. We completed the program a year ago, and yeah, it was a really great experience. So yeah, that's about it.
So we've pre-prepared some questions to ask our panel members, just to give an overall idea about the achievement program and strategies for working with the achievement program, engaging settings and helping them through to meet all of the health priority benchmarks. At the end of this, we'll also open up to questions for yourself. So if you think of a question in the meantime, jot it down, and then at the end there'll be time for you to ask questions to any of our panel members or Laura and myself.
New workplaces. Well, I'd rather talk about the old workplaces because that's easier. Just that we have that relationship already with a number of workplaces because we did the WorkSafe health checks. So tapping into those existing relationships was good. That was our starting point. Because we actually have these other services that we can offer, such as flu shots, I use that to get in the door and then trying to build that relationship with someone in the workplace, get them excited about that, and then just gradually drip feed them, I guess, some other possibilities around the achievement program. I also do send out a bi-monthly newsletter to workplaces, so just once again feeding them with some information. I guess it's a fine line between giving them too much information and being in their face and just giving them some stuff that they can work with. Some good stuff. One of the things that we did is that we developed a network. I partnered with the PCP, Primary Care Partnership, the Central College Primary Care Partnership, and we introduced a program called Make a Move, and we were focusing particularly on physical activity. So it was just the one priority area, and we invited a whole range of different people to our workplaces to attend, to participate in that. And what we did was we started off launching it with Active April, and as Laura said, we had some media around that and they loved that. Then we had an introduction session around the achievement program. Quite a few workplaces were very excited, so then we developed a monthly meeting and we worked through the achievement program processes together. Because there was such variation, you had to try to cater for that. You'd have small organisations to larger aged care facilities, for example. But we just went through the steps each month. The challenging part of that was that workplaces were working at different levels, at different stages, at different times, and coming into the group at different times. So I think it's a really effective way to keep workplaces engaged, but I have to rethink about how I would address that next time, because you may have one workplace who's got lots of support and more formal processes in place, and then others that don't. So trying to cater for that broader sector.
And I guess having those networks as well, though, does help to keep that momentum moving forward through the achievement program. And if there isn't that support within the network or within their workplace, they can get that support through the network as well. So I can see how that would be really effective for workplaces in the community.
Sure. I've just pulled this out. This is my go-to for any new workplaces because it's short, sharp, succinct. You can just quickly talk to them about the priority areas, because when you go and you talk about achievement programs, my experience anyway, is they think, oh, you're going to come in and run a program. So you need to make it really clear up front. This is a framework that you're working around. And then I just go over the 5 priority areas. And then I talk about the domain areas. And the example I always use, because it's easy to explain, is the healthy eating one. You can easily talk about the policies and how that, the physical environment, about where a cafeteria might fit into that, educating the staff around healthy eating, and then tapping into that, those community resources that are available. So I always find that one is really great in those initial introduction, and the toolkit. I really like the workplace toolkit because I think it's all there in one document and they can visualise it.
And we had Roy pointed out the toolkit earlier on the portal, and there was a toolkit for each of the health areas, which is great.
Okay, so there's 26 schools in the Yarra Valley, 2 are secondary schools. We have Catholic schools and we have state schools. Our goal in the beginning was to work with all the schools. We didn't want to select certain schools, we felt that wasn't fair. And so we wanted to be able to support all the schools on some level, a basic level. So we set up a platform called Basecamp. And we haven't opened it up to the schools yet, but we plan to. And that will meet their basic needs and provide them with resources. We hope it'll include local case studies as we develop them with schools that are stronger. And local is important because they need to see local work to know what's possible for them with their particular communities. So that was the basic, and also it would provide them a discussion board where they could communicate with other schools. So, in the Yarra Valley there's distance between schools and remote schools. So this is a way to connect them to each other in a focus of health and well-being, whether it be for respectful relationships or the achievement program. And also the services that Eastern Health can offer them in terms of occupational therapy, speech pathology, etc., early intervention. So that was the basic thing. So we went around and we visited every single school and we did a needs assessment with them. So we had basic questions about what are your priorities for health and well-being. We're here to support you. That was a key message. And we're here for 4 years to support you. And we know that you're doing great work and we want to help you do more. and here's a framework that you could use. And that's basically our message. We asked them, do they want to be part of that network? Everybody said yes. We asked them, do they want to work with us? Some said yes now, others said next year, but we still want to work with you, we want to be connected. So it was very, very positive. And I think that the most important message is to keep it broad. You're a health promoting schools model. That's what you need to be going in with rather than a particular program, because they understand that.
So it sounds like you're doing a really great job of taking our very broad Health Promoting Schools Achievement Program framework and then giving it that local context and helping schools achieve it in a way that suits their needs, which is excellent.
As someone who works in health promotion, strengths-based approach is a principle that's really, really important to me personally. And I feel like when you go in with a strengths-based approach, you're not going in as the expert, I'm here to tell you how you should do it properly. You're going in saying, I'm here to support you, assist you, you're doing great things, I want to strengthen these. Every school is doing some kind of activity for student health and well-being. In some aspect, some have gardens, some have rock and water programs, all kinds of friend chairs in the playground area where you can sit if you have no one to play with and someone will play with you. They all have, some are doing restorative practice. So it was going in saying, you don't need to stop doing all of those things that you're doing. You can carry on doing those things. We'll help you identify how they fit with a whole school approach and how they can be strengthened. So all of the things they were doing would fit with one of the benchmarks, whether it be safe environments, mental health and well-being, healthy eating or physical activity, for instance.
Imagine how that would help to motivate the settings as well by taking that positive approach to any of the work you do with them and motivate them to keep going and achieving more, which is fantastic.
Okay, so some schools are engaging families very well. I have to say this is very early days. We've been engaging schools since about October last year. So it's really early days still, and we're getting to know them. So some schools have really terrific family engagement. There's one particular school who has parents on their health and wellbeing committee, which is rare. It's something the achievement program asks them to do, but it's very hard to engage parents actively on that for a lot of schools. All of them have parent and friend associations, and we found that that's a good way to align what we're doing. We want to get a key message out to families. We do it, we work with them, we encourage the school to schedule any health and well-being messaging or talking about the whole school approach to make that part of existing parent morning teas and existing events rather than trying to get them there for a specific event covering that. So just using what's already there, I guess, is working for some schools. But that's one of the things we've identified and we need to help them with, about giving them strategies to better engage with families.
And as you mentioned, a lot of those strategies probably already exist in the schools. It's just about utilising them in a different way. So I'm going to ask Leanne a few questions now. Now Leanne's from Bellarine Community Health, but is also part of a broader G21 network which covers the Greater Geelong region, which is a really effective network for health promotion and it supports collaboration across a larger region.
So the G21 network, I guess, was established a bit over 12 months ago. And it was when the City of Greater Geelong and ourselves, Bellarine Community Health, approached our local PCP, so it's G21, to coordinate and chair a network for the achievement program work that we were doing in the region. Those working in the children's settings. So we really focused on those working to improve health and wellbeing in children's settings, early years and schools. And it was made up of health services, local councils and our PCP. So I'm really pleased that we have quite a few of our members here today on the table at the front. So They can answer some questions too in the break if you want to find out a bit more about the network. We currently have 6 different organisations on the network, but it is open to anyone that's working in the children's settings. So as I said, we've been meeting for over 12 months now, and we meet each term. So just once a term, we share knowledge, resources and support with each other across the region. So as you know, we not only support the settings that we work with, but we need support ourselves. So that network is really about getting together and supporting each other to do the work within the settings and supporting them through the achievement program. We've been able to work on the same objectives now as part of our regional health promotion plan. So it's a joint plan, and we all are working towards the one objective, and the achievement program fits within the healthier eating priority area that we're working on. We have a coordinated e-newsletter that goes out each term, and that we all chip in for. So we give it, put in articles around the whole region, and that goes out once a term. And we also have a shared calendar, which we include training things, events that are happening during the term, and we make sure that we are not duplicating, I guess, what's happening across the region, and being able to promote it to the settings in advance. So we share that with each other and make sure that we're not holding an event on the same day, for example. And we try and work in and I guess together on those events where possible. So it's been a really valuable network, and I do encourage anyone else to create a bit of a support network out there for yourselves working in this area. You need that support often, and just someone that you can go to and share ideas with and resources as well. So
we've had a bit of a common theme that I've found out from a few of the answers about networks and how they can create that collaboration between different health organisations. And keep momentum going through the achievement program and use the framework, but also provide that local context to any of the work. Because as we've said before, the achievement program is a broad framework, but the way that it's implemented in your community will look very different to how it's implemented across the state. So the networks can really help to put that local context onto the work too.
So I guess it is quite varied across our region in terms of how we work, but I wanted to share some of the things that have worked quite well for me working with the settings, and that is really to actually go to them and make times to meet with them face to face in their own school or early childhood setting. I just find that they're very time poor and very busy, so to step outside their own setting is quite difficult for them. So I think offering to go and visit them at their own school or early childhood centre is the best way, and I found that really works quite well. It also creates that relationship with them, which I think is key. So making sure that you're building that relationship ongoing and make it a regular time to meet with them. Sometimes I book in the time when I'm there for the next time, so that things do get busy, and you can forget, and it can be 6 months before you reconnect. So if I make a regular time to meet with them, that often we stick to that time, and that relationship continues to build from there. I also work from a bit of a strengths-based approach. So rather than go in and me kind of say this is what I know, I try and learn the program with them together. So when I first started, I admitted that I was still learning the ropes as well, and that we could learn it together, and that seemed to work quite well in building that relationship and working through the program together. So I admitted that I didn't know everything, and that I had a support, group to bounce ideas off if I didn't know the answers to things, or Cancer Council Victoria were always on the end of the phone, so I ring them quite regularly to get some answers if I'm not sure. So just utilise the networks that you have, and don't be the one to, know everything. You don't have to start with, and definitely I'm still learning each time, so I go out to visit. So that's something I use their tools that they're already currently using, so try and build the achievement program into existing tools that they're already using. For example, the early childhood centres use the QUIP, the quality improvement plan, so I ensure that we build the action plan for the achievement program into the QUIP. So they're not having to double up all the time with the information. They're actually including into something that they're existing that they're already doing. And I also make sure I link in with local networks. So ensuring that I go along and meet new people and I guess get that connection with new people in the area and in the schools and early childhood centres. So we have an early years network and we also have a youth network on the Bellarine. So I make sure I get along to those, whether it be quarterly or bi-monthly when they run, and that actually allows me to make new relationships and talk about the achievement program and what I can provide in terms of the support. I'm very clear about the support I can provide, so it's not about a program going in and offering a program. It's about a framework, and that I can support them through that framework. So be clear at the start what support you can provide. I also talk to them about being able to assist with putting together an action plan, and also I guess helping with the portal and navigating the portal, because that can be quite tough for a lot of the settings. So I'm just very clear about what I can support with, so that when they do call on me to support, I can go out and see them face to face.
There were lots of good tips and strategies in there, and I could see lots of pens scribbling down some notes, so that's great to see. Now, Leanne has worked with Sharon from Clifton Springs Preschool. Clifton Springs Preschool has achieved recognition for all 6 health priority areas, which is a really great achievement.
It's all part of our everyday programming and practices now, and we tried to make it digital even before the parents started our kinder. We revamped our handbook. They come to an information evening where we have a health speaker from the dental program come, and they talk about healthy lunch boxes and the importance, and they have pamphlets and lots of information, and how water should be the only drink choice. We now run a fully indoor-outdoor program, so there's much more opportunity for active play. We now have a parent representative on our committee each month. There's on the agenda that they come and they bring up topics every month, so that's a big change. Our media articles, we have information on Facebook, we have our big sign out the front. And we're all a bit more knowledgeable, our staff, and it's made us come together and discuss and reflect how we're programming and are we doing the best for the children with health and wellbeing. We introduced some yoga sessions as part of our program now, and we have a nice little calm corner if someone needs to take a break. Looked at our policies, and we've even developed a few with Leanne's help. We have a new sign, sort of a form that parents sign for active play to go outside our centre, to go on walks and do Kelly sports out in the park next door. So there's a lot more active play going on.
And what I really liked about what I was hearing was Sharon was describing how the achievement program helped them to influence the actual program structures that they've got in place. So it's not just a one-off activity that they're doing, but the benchmarks help them to really shape the programs that are going to be implemented on an ongoing basis, and shape the policies as well. And that's how you get that lasting change and that lasting effects.
Firstly, our committee were really supportive, and they let us come to all the PDs that have been offered. So that was a start where we got to meet all the health workers and find out about the program and who was there to help us. And we were introduced to was it Carly at the time, and she told us that she could actually come out to the centre and help us because we'd been floundering a little bit. So me and a parent representative went and were a bit gung-ho because I was studying for my diploma and we wanted to get this thing moving. So as soon as Carly said she could come out and help us, it really put us back on track. And we had regular meetings that we would book in ahead of time, and we just would make a block of time each, probably twice a month it was at some stage, to come out and see us. And I think a big thing was part of our kindergarten program is working with the QUIP, and Leanne has worked the program around, so she helps us put that in there. So we're sort of covering 2 bases at once. We're ongoing improvement plus doing the achievement program at the same time. We found the portal really confusing. we lost lots of information, lots of time, and it was a phone call to Macca, come and help. And she made us keep on track, and she was so encouraging. And we were actually a standalone kinder, we're not a part of a cluster group. So I think it was really important for us to have that support from our health promoter. We definitely have much more healthy lunchbox choices coming to kinder. We're sort of supported by that by the policies we've got in place now and the education that all various people have put into the parents and the children has really helped with that. We have more active play both inside and outside, as I mentioned before. Staff have gone to in-services where there's been breakfast meetings where they've shown us some great active play games to do with the children, even if it's a rainy day. I think their favourite one is musical chairs. Instead of the child going out, it stacks on, you go on someone else's knee, and I think the record's been 5 children on a chair. So it's just really good on those rainy days, getting these ideas to keep the children moving. We have a Kelly Sports, so you've probably heard of them. They come to our centre on a regular basis, and outside we looked at what we were providing, so now there's all sorts of self-select sports item on a trolley out there, so they can get it any time. Water is the only choice at kinder, which was before, but I think it's more evident now. And since we finished the program, we've gone and signed up for Kids mental health program, because we've seen the importance of that in the children's health and wellbeing, because we've had a few children with anxieties and separation problems, and we just want to get better at that. As I said before, we've implemented yoga, and they've been really enjoying that and had fun. And I think the big change is our mental health language with the children, incorporating that into our everyday language and with the parents, and getting them to be able to express how they're feeling. We've purchased lots more resources, some feelings, salt lamp, teepees. We even tried some incense, but it made one of the staff sick, so we had to stop with that. So we're trying lots of different things. And we've got the Quiet Place at TP, as I mentioned before.
I think that's really motivating for all of us as well to hear those positive changes that can happen through implementing the achievement program and really striving to meet those best practice benchmarks. So thank you for sharing those.
One of the things that we've done as well is connect with the Commons Ballarat, so they can introduce us to some of the workplaces. So if you can get involved in any of those networks, that's been quite valuable as well, because they'll promote the program for you as well.
I probably mentioned most of the networks that obviously the G21 network, that's been really valuable for us. And also any of the local networks that are in place where you'll have early childhood centres attending all schools.
And I did hear you mention other programs like Respectful Relationships. In the room earlier I heard Smiles for Miles. So there are a lot of other programs that will support settings to meet the best practice benchmarks, which are really great to tap into. And I also heard mention of the clusters as well. So if you are working with early childhood services, tapping into actually the cluster network at the management level can be a really great way to affect change over multiple settings in one go.
Sorry, I mentioned if you're talking about specific programs, the LIFE program is one that I actually promote to workplaces as well, because you know that you can go in there and do a prevention session, and that's as an introduction. That there's no cost as long as there's the numbers are there to warrant that session. But that's a good way to get into the job for workplaces as well.
We found it really useful in the beginning after we did the initial engagement with each school. We offered schools to do the audit with them, the achievement program audit, as a way of capturing what they were doing. And that was really, really powerful. And some actually did that audit with us before they registered for the achievement program. And for some, it was the reason to register for the achievement program, because they could see that, wow, we've almost got this benchmark. Or, you know, this is something we really want to work on, but we've got nothing. So it was a great way to show them what they were doing and where they could improve and why they would use a whole school approach. And the other tip I would give people is schools are pilot schools are rolling out respectful relationships. And that was really, really helpful to us with some schools because they were familiar with the whole school approach. So that language was familiar to them. And they had the mechanisms in place. So they already had a health and wellbeing team set up to deliver that in the school. We were able to say, well, you can use the same team for both. And we have one school who's doing both now and seeing that great, matching of the two. And I await the action plans to see how they're going to align together.
I also, wanted to extend on Irene in terms of what I do when I work with the centres and schools is I definitely find out what they're already doing and what they're already working on and build from there. So one of the first things I find out about is in terms of the benchmarks. I work through that with them and say, look at what we're already doing. And then it's just a matter of finding what the gaps are in terms of the benchmarks, what they're not meeting. Because I find that that's a way of engaging them and not overwhelming them. So I think when you walk in with all the benchmarks to start with and they assume that they're not doing any of them, then I think that can be quite overwhelming for them. So I try and break that down a little and focus on the things that they're already doing and doing well, and then build on that in terms of looking at what they're currently not doing and just try and support them through that process. The other thing I too wanted to mention was just knowing the right contact is really important. So this can take some time to understand who this might be, but try and find that person within the school that's got a passion for health and wellbeing. It might be the principal, but often they're too busy. So maybe try and find someone else within the school, health and wellbeing coordinators, welfare workers, PE teachers. It could be a range of people within the school. So try and find who that person is and tap them on the shoulder and see whether they're interested in meeting up with you. And that's why the networks are really valuable to go to because often they're the people sitting around the table.
I'll add my little word on workplace. Leanne can talk about her experience. But that's a really difficult one. And it's just a matter of chipping away at, who you need to speak to, the canteen manager, or actually getting, leadership commitment, I suppose, to making those changes. So I guess in a workplace, it's probably approaching it as in small wins at a time, not going in there, you must do this, you must do that, but just making those small changes, maybe looking at the traffic light system and implementing it and trying to carry people along the way. So otherwise you might get them offside. And we've certainly had first-hand experience in our own organisation making some changes that I stood back and thought, gee, I thought we would have been really across this. So don't underestimate. People want the choice and to do it slowly.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much covered everything, but it just takes time and I think and relationships within that school. So with the canteen managers and getting them on board, looking at different training options that are available to, I guess, highlight where they can learn more. But yeah, it does take time and it is quite a challenge. So sorry, don't have much more.
Can I add to that?
Eastern Health implemented healthy choices across all our hospitals, and so Eastern Health has registered the Achievement Program as a workplace. And that was a hell of an achievement because it worked with the provider and Zuki, and over a long period of time got the menu changed. So what's available in kiosks now is traffic light system, and there's more healthy choices than unhealthy choices. So that's helped us going out to schools because we're saying our sites offer healthy choices. We'd like your canteens to. But going in to certain schools and saying to them that have more canteens that operate on more days, saying, we'd love to do a baseline audit of your canteen just to get a sense of what kind of food is being offered. And that's a very kind of non-threatening thing to do because it's just asking, we just want to get a snapshot of what this is, and then we can make some suggestions, and that's going to be our strategy.
I think I'll add to that one as well, because healthy eating is something that comes up quite often, and we know change takes time. And at the moment, we're all here because we're trying to do that movement, and we're the champions. We're the ones starting to try and push it through, but it does take time to create that storm. So it's about making those smaller changes, like the guys up the front were saying. And one of the ways you can do that is by doing a needs assessment, going, do we want this change? So what we often find is people put it out there, and the staff members, the employees, or maybe even the students or the parents might actually come back to you and say, we would like more healthy choice. So it might not be pulling back those red foods, but it might be increasing those green foods. So there's small little nudges along the way to see if people start having those greener choices over the red can work as well.
I might also add into this one. So there is for schools, certainly, there is a school canteen and food services policy from the Department of Education that all schools should be working towards achieving this policy, which would mean that the canteens had followed the healthy choice guidelines, basically. And then one of our partner organisations, the Healthy Eating Advisory Service, which is run through Nutrition Australia, one of their big program goals and priorities is supporting schools to actually work towards helping changing their canteens to meet these policies. So they do a lot of work with either the cooks in an early childhood service or with the school canteens themselves, or have a lot of resources that can help there. So go to the Healthy Eating Advisory Service as well to help with any healthy eating. Thanks so much. Well, thank you again for all of your support and wisdom and advice, and we might end up having some extra time at the end of this for just some networking, so I'm sure